I'm sure that in one point of our lives, we've been the new person, whether that be in a new school, town, sport, or club. Being in an unfamiliar place is a universal human experience. However, what if you journeyed into an entirely new environment with different languages, cultures, customs, and their own diverse feelings towards you? Well, in today's episode, we're going to explore how that hypothetical was a reality for about 52 million Americans. You're listening to Image, the podcast where we share immigrant stories, American stories, our stories. I'm Isabella Hernandez, and I'll be your host. With the current state of the U.S., there's been great chaos and confusion. Chiefly within this disorder, there's been a focus on immigrants, who they are, why they are here, and what they mean for our country. Being the daughter of two immigrant parents, I've become very familiar with their stories and struggles, and so I've found the answer to these questions through them. However, I've wondered how others have differed in their journey to a new land and how their experience influenced the answer to these questions. Today, I'll be speaking with the accomplished Dr. Patricia Campos-Medina to hear about her story and her experience being an immigrant. So it's so great having you here today. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for doing this interview and then this podcast.
Yeah.
It's so important for all of us to tell our stories and talk about our own journey. So I'm Dr. Patricia Campos-Medina. I am an immigrant woman from El Salvador. I came to the United States at the age of 14 years old. I was following my parents who had left El Salvador, my father in 1979, my mother in 1980, and my oldest brother at that time in 1981. So I was left behind with my grandmother and grandparents and my two younger siblings because that was what's happening. That was the war during the Central American War. So my story is a story of family separation. I lived, with my grandmother for about 8 years, and that separation, the family separation, sort of marked my journey into who I am as a woman, who I am as a scholar, and who I am as an immigrant in this country.
Yeah. You do work at Cornell, right?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I arrived in the United States at 14 years old. I entered ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
Yeah,
So,
in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's freshman year?
Freshman year, yes.
Okay, wow.
I didn't know any English. So I have to first focus on learning English as a second language. But I was always very curious, and I like reading, and I like spending time with books, and I like American history. I like history. So I was very curious. So I immediately was able to move into regular English, and then I moved into honors English and to AP English. So I ended up graduating in 4 years from my high school at that time, T.C. William High School in Alexandria, Virginia, with a scholarship to attend Cornell University.
Wow.
Yes,
It's amazing.
Yes, and that was part of my journey because I always say that there were people who, when I arrived as an immigrant girl from El Salvador, which was in the middle of a civil war, we were all political refugees. There wasn't a lot of programs to support Central American migrants at that time in Virginia of anywhere else. But there were people who cared about me and the students, and they helped me adapt and learn. So I was able to get a scholarship at Cornell. Eventually, I got my bachelor's in industrial labor relations. Then I got my master's on international trade and workers' rights.
Ooh.
And then I went to work for about 15 years, and then I returned to college, and I finished my doctorate in political science.
Wow.
So that brought me back to be a faculty member at Cornell University,
Wow.
and I now run a research institute on workers' rights and the economy. So yes, so that's in like a few seconds my life story of migration and success.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, yeah. I personally, my parents are also from Central America, and I also really strive to build on what they kind of did, what they sacrificed to bring me here. And I've looked at Cornell. Cornell's a great university. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cornell is what I would like to say. Our theme is for any study for anyone. And I think that we do try to live up to that. And I think that if it wasn't for the efforts made to attract talented young Latinos from urban settings, which is part of the struggle because the integration of Ivy League universities
Yeah.
was done by a legal court case in the 1990s. It was the Michigan case that forced integration on the Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 30 years later, that legal case was struck down by the Supreme Court, and now we are back at not having what we call affirmative action. Affirmative action, it just meant that university had to take affirmative steps
Yeah.
to make sure that their student body was diverse. And I said that's how I ended up attending Cornell University. I was talented, I was smart, I did hard work, but they had to go out there and look like kids like me. And so
Yeah.
many Latino students out there who are so smart and talented, but come from very poor backgrounds. My
Yeah.
mother was a housekeeper, my father was a house cleaner, hotel worker, construction worker, and they couldn't have afford to send me to a university,
Yeah.
a four-year university. So
Yeah.
those programs were part of how people like us,
Yeah.
made it to an elite university. And now I can say I'm a doctor,
Yeah.
political science, and I am a faculty member and I lead a national institute on the
Yeah.
economy and workers' rights for all American workers, not just for Latino workers,
Yeah.
but for American workers and unions.
No, that's really it's really amazing. I definitely think that there's some like with college and like attending, it's been like really like hard. Like I mean, me like personally, like I'm applying and it's just like the criterias have been just getting like harder and harder, and it's like it seems like impossible. Like, do you like have anything you'd want to say to like any like Latina or Latino out there that's like struggling and like worried about getting into college or like where they're gonna go, like money wise, or just like even just like getting in?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I would say is, and I have two teenage boys. They're in
Yeah.
10th grade, and I always tell them, your job is to be curious about knowledge, curious about subjects, get good grades, and know what you like to do. What are your interests? Is it science? Is it math? Is it art? Is it English? Because if you do what you love, you are going to find a way to be the best at it. So I think that that's part of education, right? We sort of, when I was in high school, I used to like history and government and the law. So that's why I ended up going and doing that. So the first thing is know what you like, know what you do. And then pick a college that is suited for you. Not everyone has to go to a 4-year university.
Yeah.
If some people might want to try going to a community college, and there's nothing wrong with a community college education because they give you the basics, skills for you to know what it is that you like to do. Do you like engineering? Do you like architecture? Do you like medical school? Do you like being a nurse? Do you like doing dentistry?
Yeah.
You can find all those things out on a community college, which is low cost and doesn't cost you a lot.
Yeah.
And then you can apply to a 4th-year university. Or if you're committed and you know you want to go to a 4-year university, go for it. Apply for scholarships, get some good grades.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, and I think that has made the American dream of a college education so difficult for young kids right now, is a student debt.
Yeah. Yeah,
ha-
for sure.
Yes, like now, unfortunately, and this is another passion of me, I have a political life. I have run for
Yeah.
political office.
Yeah, you ran
And
for Senate.
I
right?
ran for United States Senate, the first Latina who ran in the United Jersey for United States Senate, was on the ballot, the first Salvadoran ever to be on the ballot for
Yeah.
federal office, so I'm very proud of that. And one of the platforms I ran in was student debt relief, because we have made it so difficult for working class kids to
Yeah.
get a 4-year education because we have made it more expensive.
Yes.
And I always tell kids, be very careful. Coming out of a 4-year education with $150,000 debt, that's the price of a house.
Yeah.
So sometimes people feel like they don't have a choice to do that, but there's a lot of choices. Community college, technical school is a choice before you take on that debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you brought up that you ran for Senate. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that experience?
Well, I believe that our politics in the United States, we are a democracy. A
Yes.
democracy is by the people and for the people. And
Absolutely.
and as Latinos, we are 25% of the population nationally. In New Jersey, we're 23% of the population. We only have 5% of political representation. That means that out of all the elected positions, or who is making decisions in their government, and that means how our taxes that we pay
Yeah.
are spent. That's what
Yeah.
government means. Are only 5% are Latinos. So I am also the president of an organization called Latina Civic Action, and we train Latinas to run for political office. And so I spent 20 years of my life training Latinas to run for office.
Wow.
And when there was an opening to have a United States senator who was a Latino had to be removed from office. There was no Latino who wanted to run.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, we cannot tell Latinas to run, Latinas run, and then when there's not position, nobody runs.
Yeah.
And so I had friends around me, I had people around me who said, Patricia, you have been talking about this for 20 years. Why don't you run?
Yeah.
And also being in the political field, I had supported candidates, I had raised money for
Yeah.
candidates, I run political campaigns, and I felt, it's my time to run. And I ran.
Yeah.
The first Latina to run for United States Senate. I got on the ballot. I ran a campaign and was able to end up second place for
Okay.
my first run. So it was fun. I learned a
Yeah.
lot. But the most important thing I learned, and this is something that I tell young Latinas,
Yeah.
is that you have to, you cannot be what you cannot see. So we need role models out there. Whether there's a Latina scientist, and we have them. Whether there's a Latina doctor, we have them. Attorneys, astronauts. So we need to see people in positions of influence and power. So we need to see a Latina senator.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. I'm totally for it.
Yes. So that's why I run, because
Yeah.
I wanted to give young Latina women like you and those who listening to this show
Yeah.
a role model that it can be done. And even when people doubt you. And
Yeah.
we as immigrants come to this country with very little support.
Absolutely.
Except our parents. And they
Absolutely.
believe in us. So, and we have come so far from where they came from that I say I have nothing to lose. I already won.
Yeah.
So whatever I do next is just a victory for me,
Yeah.
because I have been able to achieve more than my ancestors and my parents
Yeah.
would ever dream I would. So for me, second place, I said when my victory speech, Patricia ya ganó. I already won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really great. Yeah. Do you think that you'll perhaps run again in the future, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will run again.
Yeah.
I will run again because I feel like our politics in the United States, our government in the United States needs people with experiences like mine.
Yes.
As an immigrant woman, someone who
Yes.
learned English as a second language, someone whose parents work so hard, 2-3 jobs, and right now they live, they only live with their Social Security payment. They depend on Medicare.
Yeah.
They don't have any other support than me and my siblings. And there's the majority of the American story is that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're immigrant or you're an African American or you're a working class white person. That's the reality of the majority of Americans. They work their entire lives. They dream that their kids will have a better life than they did. They have a struggle to pay for healthcare. They struggle to pay for the children education.
Yeah.
That's my story.
Yeah.
I just happen to be an immigrant woman who came here as a teenager. So we need people like my story running our government.
Exactly.
And we should not let just the millionaires and the billionaires run our government.
Exactly, because your story is the story of millions. Not even just immigrants. Everyone. So much of America is just the working class, and we need more representation.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And in my professional career, I graduated from Cornell University with a degree in industrial labor relations, and I went to work for the labor movement. And this is American labor unions fighting for the rights of American workers to have rights on the work, on the job, to have a union, to have a collective bargaining agreement, to have health care, to have a pension. And and I had represented American workers in the South, in California, in the Midwest, and I had been part of even President Obama Office of United States Trade Relations, advocating for American workers' rights. So for this immigrant woman from El Salvador to be out there and have the platform to defend American workers' rights, to me, it's a privilege and it's an honor and it's a responsibility. So we all, as Americans, because I am an American now.
Yes.
I'm,
Absolutely.
I've been here 35 years, more than I have been in El Salvador. I'm an American, and I'm a naturalized American citizen. And my story is the story of commitment of every immigrant that comes, that has ever come here. Whether you came here as an Irish immigrant in the 1920s or an Italian immigrant at the turn of the century, our stories is the same. We assimilate, we belong to this country, and we love it because it gave us opportunity. And that's what I'm trying to do for the next generation of Americans.
Yeah, absolutely. Brought this up earlier. You were talking about like the American dream. Like, in your opinion, do you believe like it still exists? Do you believe the American dream is something that people can still achieve, that people still come to this country for? And if so, like, you kind of already said it, but like, what does it mean to you?
The ethos of America is that this country we don't have a class system in this country. If you have talent and if you work hard, that you will have opportunity. And our democracy, which means it's a form of government, will invest in your talent and will protect opportunity for all. That's the ethos of America. That's our democratic process. And I think we all come from regimes that are authoritarian. We come from regimes that are oppressive. Many of us are political refugees from wars or from political and economic stagnation. We come to this country when we believe in that ethos of opportunity. And that's what makes America great. That belief that you come here and you can achieve your dreams. I would say that in the last 30 years, achieving the American dream has become more difficult because the billionaire class has taken back a lot of investment in our government and had taken tax cuts and have put it into their pockets. I always said, while during the COVID pandemic, while workers that work for Amazon couldn't even get healthcare and were dying, Jeff Bezos parachute himself to the moon with his own money. And that level of economic disparity has made the American dream much more difficult for a lot of Americans. And that is why there is this disconnect, this sense of rejection. And people like the President Trump have been able to use that sense of disconnection in our society, in economic anxiety, to blame some people, to blame immigrants for the economic stagnation of a lot of Americans. I always said, and this is because I am a working class person and also a labor rights scholar. I always said that the economic stagnation of American families is the fault of the billionaire class in the United States. It's not the fault of immigrants. Immigrants come here to work hard and contribute. The billionaire class are the ones hoarding the money and putting it in their stock chains and flying themselves to the moon rather than investing on people's healthcare and people's homes.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. And it's just so refreshing to hear like someone be able to like actually like properly articulate that instead of just like pushing the blame onto a bunch of people who just all want the same thing that all Americans want. We just all want to succeed. We all want our like kids or the next generation to do better than we did. Like, I just think that is something that's so important to like the core of American beliefs, and I just think it's something that's been so lost recently. On that topic, like, as an immigrant, have you ever faced any discrimination, like, at all in your life when you first came here, still now? Like, I feel like that's something that a lot of people deal with, and I just want to know your personal experience with that.
Yeah, I think that feeling excluded or not feeling like you belong is part of our American experience. Remember, America was always the belief in the American dream and the American ideal is always defined by those who don't belong. You know, the idea of a democracy and equal rights was actually defined by African slaves who were fighting for the right to belong. You know, they fought for 400 years to be fully human and not be slaves. And that changed the American belief. Then they fought for civil rights so that they could actually had the right to vote until 1965. Women
Yeah.
fought for the right to vote at the turn of the century. So the ideal of American democracy has always been defined by those who fight to make it be what it's supposed to be, a place of opportunity for all.
Yes.
So as immigrants, as Central American immigrants, remember, the Central American migration of the 1980s, 92% of Central Americans were denied political asylum, even though the United States was funding the wars of the 1980s. So that exclusion, I remember feeling it. You know, I spent 8 years waiting for my parents to get their papers. I came. I hadn't been around them for 8 years. I came to a high school that was, we were a bunch of Central American kids, Afghanistani kids, Eritrean kids, Somalian kids. We were all political refugees, and the high school didn't even know how to deal with us. And we had to fight for support for English as a second language, support for extracurricular activities. We had to demand that of our schools. And so from the beginning of my American experience, I could have been quiet and said, okay, I'm here and I'm just going to accept what the American system or that community at that time didn't know they have to do. But I had to fight for investment in my education.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing when I got to Cornell. I got to Cornell, I told you earlier, I was part of the second class of students who were recruited because of the Michigan case, in which Ivy Leagues were mandated to recruit students of color to admit them. So I was part of the second class. And in the first semester of my freshman year, we had graffiti on the walls that said, "Speaks go home. Affirmative action cases go home." This is at Cornell University.
Yeah, it's
And-
insane. That is actually really crazy.
I know. And not me. I had graduated top 10% of my class. I have all A's and plus. So I was as qualified as any other kid to be there.
Yeah.
But yet there were some students who felt that students like me didn't belong. So I fought that back.
Yeah.
I concentrated on my studies and I graduated. And I'm now teaching at Cornell University. So every time that you feel that people are telling you that you don't belong, just remember your own struggle, your own story, and what is it that you want to accomplish, and then say, no, nobody else decides where I belong but myself. And then you have to organize, and you have to create organizations that support you in that fight.
Exactly. So, like through the struggles, like through all that, like what inspired you? Like what helped you persevere through everything you faced, and what still to this day inspires you?
I think my parents' struggle of, my mother was a homemaker when she was forced to leave my hometown and leave her kids behind. She has so much grit and so much courage. She had a third grade education, and then she had the fortitude to leave everything she knew and come to this country and make it. My father is the smartest man I ever known, but he went to 6th grade in El Salvador, but he can fix anything. And I think that out of that intellect that he had, my oldest brother is an electrical engineer. My other brother is an accountant. I'm a political scientist, because they never gave up. When the world told them there's no opportunity for you, they never gave up. So for me, I came to an American high school.
Yeah.
I was accepted into American university.
Yeah.
If they could do it, I could too. So I
Yeah.
never gave up. I never felt like it was the end of the world. And I always felt
like if they believe in me,
Mm-hmm.
I must believe in myself. And that's the hardest thing, because I ended up I got a scholarship, I got financial aid, but I also had to keep my grades. I had to keep 5.8. I mean, I had to be plus average to keep my scholarship, 4.8. And I had to have jobs, I had to have 2, 3 jobs, right? So it's not like I could just go to school and rest. I had to also have jobs because my parents couldn't just send me money.
Yeah.
So I think that through all that, I always said, okay, my parents could do it, I could do it. So I think that they were my inspiration.
Yeah.
And the fact that I had to prove to myself that I could succeed.
Yeah. No, I totally relate to that. Like, again, my parents are also immigrants, and like, especially like my mom, like she came here when she was like also a teenager, and she like went through education system, graduated from an American university, and she worked in the banks, and she lost her job during 2008 recession, and even through all that, she still raised me, and now she's a teacher, and now she's like her job's being threatened, and she's just still keeps going and like puts a smile on her face and takes care of me, and it's just like so like inspirational to me, and I just always feel like, like kind of what you said, like if she can do it, if she was able to like lose her job once and still raise a family, still like do all this, then I can too.
Exactly. I say. And one thing that I always remind myself is that no job is below you. Every job has dignity.
Yeah.
And as long as all of us don't forget that, then we can have that equity of treatment for everybody.
Yes.
My mother, if she had to make tortillas to sell on a Sunday in the morning, she will get up and proudly do that.
Yeah.
My father, if he had to go help, a neighbor fix a car, he will get up and do that. There was nothing that they were not willing to do, because everything had a purpose and everything has dignity. That's what I always say. Every job has dignity, and no job is below anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mentality that we all have to keep. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like also like a lot of the jobs that like like immigrants do, like we're really like the backbone of like America. Like I feel like that like most of the jobs that like we take on and stuff, like we're not ashamed of doing them, and like we do them with pride, and like we're proud of like being able to work and like do all these jobs. And I think that that's just something that people again like don't really recognize. Like we aren't stealing jobs, we're just working, we're just trying to live.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's in this we're in a very difficult moment in American history right now, in which we have a president who blames immigrants for the economic problems of this country, and we have ICE, we have raids, we have these attacks on the immigrant community. And I think we as immigrants who have the right to vote and who are naturalized citizens or first generation immigrants like you need to go back to reminding ourselves, because it takes an emotional toll, to see families torn apart, to see kids crying, to see, it breaks my heart to see these kids being separated or in families at the courts, being torn apart. But what we have to remind ourselves is that these too shall pass. But while these too shall pass, we as the ones who have the right to vote, the ones who are American born, we have to speak up and say that this is not the America that our founders' fathers created.
Yeah.
All our founding fathers were immigrants themselves, in this country. And they were fleeing persecution, and they came here and created this idea of America. So we have to defend it. And we have to tell our stories, tell our parents' stories.
Yeah.
And then remind the previous wave of immigrants, the Irish immigrants, the Italian immigrants, that they also, they also were considered the not the last immigrants who, that
Yeah.
the last wave who weren't welcome. And that we are Mexicans and Central Americans right now are the wave that is not welcome
Yeah.
right now. But we have to say that's not the America that we believe in. This is not my America. This is my home
Yeah.
country. And I will fight for the America in which everyone has an
Yes.
opportunity to belong.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially America is literally just a bunch of immigrants. Like
Yeah.
we like every single person that is in this country now has had a like relative or someone who's an immigrant, and that's something again like we need to recognize. We just like
Yeah.
it's all these things that like people just aren't seeing. And like like within like this like frightening time, is there really like anything that you would like to say to any again like immigrants who are watching this, anyone besides
Yeah.
you
If
know.
you're a young person, if you're a
Yes.
first generation immigrant, if you're 17 in New Jersey, you already can register to vote in your next election. Okay?
Yes.
So if you were born here and you're a first generation
Yeah.
immigrant, please vote and get young people to
Yes.
vote. We can change our politics if young people vote.
Yes.
And if your parents are already citizens and are not voting, please register them to vote and get them to
Yes,
vote. We
yes.
cannot change who gets elected and who runs our government if people like us don't vote. That's the number one thing.
Yes.
The number two thing is that volunteer for a non-profit, volunteer for an immigrant rights organization, and learn everything you need to learn about our immigration system and why we're stuck in this impasse in which immigrants cannot become citizens. It is by design. It's not because people don't want to become citizens. We
Yes.
stop the ability of immigrants to apply for permanent residency and for citizenship. And instead, we have criminalized immigration and we have criminalized the human right of looking for work.
Exactly.
And we, as citizens, are the only ones who can change that. And it starts by voting, and it starts by volunteering in nonprofit organizations that are advocating for immigrant workers
Yes.
and for poor people. It used to be a poor people movement in the United States. We don't have a poor people movement in the United States.
Yeah.
We have a affordable housing movement, affordable healthcare.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a lot of people are poor because we have bad jobs.
Yes.
So I also joined the labor movement. I am
Yeah.
a labor organizer, and the labor movement's job is to make sure that jobs have good wages and have a healthcare and have pension. So join the labor movement, become a union organizer, and support workers like the Starbucks workers who are trying to organize a union. Please support them, and that's the only way we're gonna change the economic makeup of our country right now. So there's things that you can do.
Yes, there's a lot of things
Yeah.
you can do. So my like after everything that you've been through, like being here, facing discrimination, continually facing discrimination, and like how our government's faced right now, would you ever say that you regret immigrating here or no?
No, I will.
Yes.
I will not say I am blessed, and I always said that I was given the opportunity to immigrate to the United States and reunite with my parents. It's the greatest
Yes.
blessing I have had in my life. I always think about what my life would have been like had I never left El Salvador.
Yeah.
And what would have happened to my mother if she had not left, or my parents and my brothers if she had
Yeah.
not left. So coming to the United States gave us an opportunity to achieve our potential, because that's what the United States does. We have potential in us. So I do not regret it. But remember, we did not choose to migrate.
Yes.
We were in the middle of a civil war, which was part of this foreign policy of the United States to support regimes that were oppressing poor people and working people in
Yes.
Central America and in the United States. So we were displaced
Yeah.
by the foreign policy interests of the United States. So at the time of migration, my father was a political refugee. He was forced to migrate.
Yeah.
My mother was forced to follow him. My youngest brother had to leave at 12 years old because otherwise he would have become a child soldier in El Salvador at
Yeah.
12. He was forced to migrate. So my migration was a forced migration.
Yeah.
But I am blessed that I was able to reunite with my parents. Many children, Central American children, didn't get that opportunity. So I'm one of the lucky ones. And I
Yeah.
always consider that luck a blessing and a responsibility to do better for the next
Yeah.
generation.
Yeah. Okay. So my final question for you is just like, who are immigrants? Like, how would you define them?
Immigrants are people like you and me, like any American, who, for circumstances beyond their control, are either forced to migrate because of war, social instability, economic instability. They are forced to look for opportunities somewhere else. That means that they're the most talented of the people in their own society, in their own country. That's why America is such a success, because it receives the most talented people from around the world. And we come here and we make this country be what it is because we bring all our talent and our passion and our enterprise with us. That's what makes America a beacon of hope. Because we are the most talented people from around the world. People who have no opportunity where they're at. And that's why we must continue to keep America as the beacon of hope for people seeking for opportunity, either from freedom of religion and freedom of political participation. Those are the people who come here. And that has been true for 50 years.
Yeah.
And we as citizens will continue to fight so that it remains so another
Yeah.
250 more years.
Yes. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thomas
Exactly.
Jefferson said.
Yes, exactly.
All right. I just have to say, you are so inspiring. Like, personally, like me personally, like I love like politics. I love civics. I love all this, and like just hearing you speak and just the passion from you is just, it's just really like contagious. Like,
Thank you.
you're such a great speaker, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and being my first person to interview for this podcast.
Oh my goodness, this is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is
This is like just like such like a great way to start this out, and like having this conversation just really helped me realize how similar like everyone is like we all want the same thing. We're all Americans, and I just think that, you know, as someone who's born here, I've had really similar experiences to you. Like I've lived in this country my entire life. I felt so ostracized from like so many people just because of like my ethnicity, and I just think that like we need to really just like remind ourselves that we're all people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter.
remember, you're not different. You're just unique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know. I said my last question was my previous question
Yeah.
was my last question. But do you just have any parting words of wisdom for our audience?
Just do what you love. Love what you do. Know your own story. Ask your parents questions.
Yes.
Understand their own journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when you understand their own journey, you'll understand yourself.
Yeah.
Because you have learned from them. But sometimes because we don't ask enough questions, we don't understand what they're saying or why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So learn your own story, ask a lot of questions of your family, and then just be proud of that story. And then create your own.
Those are great words of advice.
And that's it. Don't try to
Yeah.
emulate anybody. Don't try to be like somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like you, be unique.
Yes.
And do what you love. Because in doing what you love, you will find success.
Yes. Just thank you so much again. This was really great. I'm wishing you so much luck when you run again for Senate.
Thank you.
And, you know, go out and vote.
Yes.
Go out and vote.
Yes. And follow me at Dr. Campos-Medina so you'll find out when I'm running for
Yes.
office again.
Yes.
Or any of the campaigns that I run. I've done a lot of educational campaigns. And I support a lot of immigrant rights groups and workers' rights groups. So just follow me and, and take action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take action.
Yeah.
Take action.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
Don't feel defeated. There's always something you can do to feel that you have power. Don't let people take your own power away from you.
Yeah. So I hope you and our audience enjoyed our talk. If you would like to support this project, please follow or write us a review so that we can reach more people. Thank you all once more. I'm your host, Isabella Hernandez, and I hope everyone here has a great remainder of your day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.